Women's Wrestling Talk.
T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk. The #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
That is right, you guys. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. We are here for Friday Night SmackDown and Rampage and half of Battle of the Belts because currently Battle of the Belts is going on right now. But we're not going to wait until Battle of the Belts ends because we're just not going to do that. No. But if you don't know who I am Driune Santana. I am the editor-in-chief of Women's Wrestling Talk and also a host. And I'm also one half of the only dominating tag team in Women's Wrestling Talk history, the Salt Shakers. And of course, I have my queen, Steph Hardy, right next to me as we are going to break down SmackDown, Rampage, and we're going to go over who won tonight's one battle of the belts. And right now Jade and Skye Blue are putting on a very lengthy match, and it's really not bad. I mean, Skye Blue is getting a lot of offenses, but we're going to talk about SmackDown first because honestly they're really doing their thing over here. But Stephanie, how are you doing on our first show of the year for SmackDown and Rampage?
Yes, it is our first show. Oh my gosh, 2023. Happy New Year to everyone watching on all of our platforms. Thank you for staying with us all the way into the new year. I'm doing good. I'm happy, of course, to always be with you. And this night in wrestling has been really awesome. It's been a really awesome Friday, and it's still going on. But yeah, it's still really good, and I've had a pretty restful day. So yeah, no complaints here, and I'm also really excited about next week, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, it's been a really good night.
Definitely. And I mean, let's go ahead and pretty much dive into the show that transpired on tonight. So of course, same way they entered Monday Night Raw is the same way they entered Friday Night SmackDown. Bloodline is still on a tangent due to the fact that, well, they basically came up real short on the final SmackDown of the year when Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns teamed up to face Kevin Owens and John Cena, which Sami did end up losing the match for them, but also Roman lost too. So then out comes Roman Reigns. Tonight they were in Memphis, Tennessee. That's about like 2 hours away from me. I could have went,
Tennessee.
But yeah.
Tennessee. Take me to another place. Take me to another land. Da, 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 da. Okay, I'm sorry. It just reminded me of the Arrested Development song.
But so the whole bloodline is very much here. And does I have on a boot?
He does have on a boot. What happened to his foot?
I have absolutely no idea. I can't even tell you, but I was like, they ain't got a boot on. Okay.
What happened to Papa Paul?
Child, you probably talking too much mess. as he always does. But the whole bloodline was here in attendance tonight, and well, they had a few things to get off their chest, and more so as a simple fact of that. Of course, they talked about what transpired with, you know, the match that happened in Tampa, and Roman basically said that he did not lose. Sammy is the one who lost, and then he proceeded to yell at Sammy, and I mean, had Sammy feeling as if like he didn't know what to do. He was scared. He was bagging up into the corner and everything. And then, you know, we have Kevin Owens come out right after Roman looked as if like he was ready to attack Sami Zayn. And what we know is the fact of that Kevin Owens challenges Roman Reigns to a match at the Royal Rumble, and they have made it official. Roman Reigns will face Kevin Owens, undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Stephanie, how are we feeling about this coming of this match happening this year?
I feel pretty okay about it. The idea of Kevin challenging Roman, it makes sense because they've basically been beefing back and forth because Kevin's main beef with Roman is the fact that he has led his friend Sami Zayn, down the wayward path. And so since he doesn't want to really deal with Sami anymore, but he's not really going to have much of a choice because they did announce that him and Sami are fighting on SmackDown next week. It's like he really wants to gun for Roman. And so Kevin is hungry for gold and he's ready to fight Roman, for all of it at the Royal Rumble. And so it makes sense to me. And it would also be intriguing since the Royal Rumble match is taking place, which one of these two men would the winners have to fight? Would they have to fight Roman at WrestleMania or would they have to fight Kevin at WrestleMania? And it would kind of change a little bit of what WrestleMania season would look like. But either way, I'm still interested in seeing this match take place for both of the titles. And I also loved how Kevin basically told Sami, look, like he told Roman, I'll see you at the Rumble. And he told Sami, I'll see you when you take your balls out of Roman Reigns' pocket. And I was like, dang, Kevin, roast him there. Roast him. But what's so bad is Sami was already getting roasted by Roman because Roman was upset. He was just like, bro, like, you may have gotten this victory on Raw, but it had to come after you allowed me to lose on, this big match against Kevin and John Cena last week and last year. So he's still mad about that and he's beginning to shut him out. So it looks like we're beginning to see the unraveling of the honorary Oos thing. So yeah, it's crazy, but it's still intriguing nonetheless. So I'm pretty excited about where this story is going.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time we've seen Roman and Kevin face off against each other. So, I mean, we already know what's basically to expected, but the only thing is that who will come out being the champion. And speaking of champions, the returning of Miss Charlotte Flair, who rolls up and I mean looks as dazzling as ever. I mean, what can you really say? She pulls up to Memphis because, I mean, hey, later on, we'll definitely hear some words from your new SmackDown Women's Champion. She looks really good, but we'll see more of her later on tonight. We also had this match here with Santos Escobar versus Kofi Kingston. Xavier Woods doing what he usually does, and they got all different advertisement out there as well. But this was a very good match. But Santos ended up picking up the victory. It's really nice to see the New Day, be able to be on SmackDown still actively while being on NXT, defending their titles and different things like that. So, Stephanie, what are your thoughts on this match? I mean, it kind of felt like I don't necessarily feel like I understand much more as to why this match even happened to the first place. I really have absolutely no idea.
Well, before the match, they kind of showed an interview that Kayla Braxton, shout out Big Bama, was having with Kofi, and then Santos and Legado del Fantasma came and sort of interrupted it. And Santos was basically saying that the sun should set on the New Day because, their time is up and that their time is now. And he also said that he was going to eliminate Kofi Kingston in the Royal Rumble because it's his time. So, of course, Kofi Kingston has a special place in his heart for the Royal Rumble because of all the moments he's made. And Santos made reference to that, but he basically said, okay, now it's my turn to do this. You need to move out the way. And Kofi didn't take too kindly to that. And then the other two members, the male members anyway, of Legado got in his face during the interview. He was like, oh, so you're going to, bring them in my face. And that's pretty much how it all started. I was really intrigued by this match because I was just like, okay, Kofi and Santos. Because I feel like anytime you watch Santos Escobar in a match, you're never going to be bored. I mean, ever. Because he is just such a good wrestler. He's so good. And Kofi is an OG at this point. He's a legend. So this match was pretty good for the most part. And I loved how anytime Santos was kind of on the edge and Kofi was trying to like knock him off, he balanced himself and he was like, uh-oh, look at me. I'm still on the edge. But Xavier Woods, being the ultimate Virgo that he is, blew his trumpet, blew Francesca, and distracted him, and he fell down. And I was like, aha! And even, in the midst of all that, with all the shenanigans from Zelina and the other two, they did wind up, winning and distracting Xavier and distracting Kofi, and Santos wound up winning the match. Kofi did have a really good job here. It shows that if Kofi wanted to go solo, yet again, he would, and he could, because he's still that guy. But it was good that Santos won this match because Legado really hasn't done anything fully of note outside of him facing off and having that amazing match with Ricochet. He hasn't really won a whole lot. So I was glad that Santos was able to have this little moment, even though it was a little bit gross because he cheated. But either way, it was still a really good match. I enjoyed it.
It was. Hopefully we'll see Santos be able to maybe achieve eliminating Kofi Kingston out of the Royal Rumble. And since we are on the topic of Royal Rumbles, Liv Morgan, she basically says that she will be entering the Royal Rumble. She said that she basically does not want to come in number 30. She wants to maybe come in at number 1 and basically take out everyone and make it to the end and become your 2023 Royal Rumble winner. Will she be able to accomplish that? Who really knows? Who knows where Liv Morgan will be placed at and what entrance numbers she would have in the Royal Rumble. But that's why we have to wait to January 28th to find out. Are you looking forward to Liv Morgan being in the Royal Rumble? Because she doesn't have the best of luck being in the Rumble, to be honest.
She doesn't. Also, side note, I loved her coat because I just love extra fur coats. But either way, I feel like she might not have the best luck when it comes to the Royal Rumble, even though I know she historically hasn't. I feel like she'll definitely try her hardest to stay in, but ultimately she won't necessarily win because of the pool just being so big of talent that you just never know who's going to come. Like, especially, I mean, you have the ones who are currently on the roster with her. You have the other OGs who very well might come back. And then you also have the people who might come back whom you haven't seen in a couple of months. Who might come back too, who I'm really pushing for to possibly win because she should. Now, y'all can probably read between the lines and figure out who I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm not sure about Liv's luck, but I'm pretty sure that she would try really hard to stay in it, considering she did lose the title last year to Ronda, and she did try her best to try to win it back or, get a little bit more extreme and, still try, but to no avail. But, you can always try, but I'm just not sure about Liv's luck at this point.
I don't know. I mean, everybody knows how I feel about Liv Morgan. If she enters the Rumble, she does. If she loses, she does. She wins. It is what it is. But I don't know. I mean, whatever happens with Liv, whichever entrant number she lands in, we just have to pretty much, like I said, wait and see to January 28th when the Royal Rumble happens. More other things we have to wait to see what happens at the Royal Rumble is LA Knight and Bray Wyatt's Mountain Dew Pitch Black match that they're having. And LA Knight, I mean, he's basically happy at the fact that what took place last week with Uncle Howdy basically attacking Bray Wyatt. And he didn't know what the hell was going on. LA Knight didn't, but you know what? He doesn't care because he's ready to continue and pick up where Uncle Howdy left off with Bray Wyatt's corpses laying in the ring. And maybe this will happen with them at Royal Rumble. I mean, are you excited to see this match between LA Knight and Bray Wyatt?
I am. I am very intrigued with this because number one, it's the pitch black match. We've never seen that before. And a lot of people could, try and dismiss it and say, oh, it's just another opportunity for them for this sponsor to just be put out here and they just, blah, blah, blah. And, it's easy to be a little bit cynical about it, but I'm intrigued because it's a thing that we've never seen before. And the idea of a pitch black match with someone like Bray Wyatt, who's been so mysterious and yet so victimized by his own darkness, will still be interesting. And I want to see how LA Knight will rise to the occasion because he seems to think he has this, in the bag. And the thing about Bray Wyatt is just when you think you're in control, you ain't. So I am intrigued by this match. I'm really ready to see what's gonna happen here with LA Knight and Bray Wyatt. I'm pumped.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. There's been a lot of things transpiring within this storyline. So, I mean, we got a few more weeks leading up to, we got what, 1, 2, 3 weeks leading up to, from today, 3 weeks leading up to Royal Rumble. So, I mean, it's take place on Saturday. So, anything is real possible. Mm-hmm. So we move on because we got this mixed tag match here: Madcap Moss and Emma versus Scarlett and Karrion Kross. And a lot of people have seen this match happen on the WWE live shows that they be having, the house shows and things like that. And Emma and Scarlett have gotten a lot of compliments on the in-ring chemistry that they've been having. This was a really cool match to see kind of live on TV. But I was not expecting like Emma and Madcap to even win. But Scarlett and Karrion Kross did. And I mean, we're seeing real life couples in mixed match tag matches, which we really don't see that often. We really don't see that many mixed tag matches like that. Sometimes it happens a lot on the indie, like on the house shows, but not too much on like live television that much. But what did you think about this match, Stephanie?
Yeah, this match was pretty good. I almost wish it was longer because I did want to see a little bit more of what Scarlett could do because of course I know she's wrestled before like in the independents, but I haven't really seen much of her in-ring work. I've only seen mostly her managerial work. So, but the little bit that I did see that she was able to do was really good though. Her suplexes on Emma were really good. Emma did a good job in the match as well. I did like it, and I don't know exactly who I was expecting to win this match. But it makes sense that it was Karrion because he's just kind of been on the warpath lately. With Madcap Moss, and also later on, of course, Rey Mysterio, because he just wants to come and fight him for whatever reason and put him out of his misery because he thinks of him as an old dog, which is terrible. But yeah, I actually enjoyed this match. I just wish it was a little bit longer so I could have seen more of what the women were going to do. I actually thought that it was just going to be a one-on-one match between Scarlett and Emma at first because I saw Scarlett in her boots and everything, and I was just like, oh man, she's going to fight by herself. But then, they announced it was a mixed tag, and I was like, oh. No shade to Madcap Moss and Karrion Kross. That rhymes. But I was just like, no. I would have liked it better if it was just a singles match between, Emma and Scarlett. And maybe one day we might get that. You never know. But this was pretty cool. I just wish it was a little bit longer.
Yeah, it could have been a banger after banger after banger. Like these guys here hanging out in a bar in Memphis that has Jared the King Lawler on the background. And
Yeah, it's a
basically, Memphis has been,
museum, I
yeah,
think.
I see it. I'm like, they're they're out here drinking before they're supposed to be preparing for their match. Okay, what are y'all doing? I guess this is how the Irish and the Scottish do it to prepare for matches. You know, you drink you a pulp of beer or whatever, and you chug it down and you get ready for a banger that just transpired later on tonight in the main event. But of course, this is more so, like I said, women's wrestling talk. This is why you're here. And Charlotte Flair, we got to hear from her tonight, the 14-time women's champion, ladies and gentlemen. And Charlotte, she went out there and she talked like she always do, and it just seems as if like fans are really, really eating it up. We really got thank you, Charlotte chants.
Mm-hmm.
We did something that I don't think I've ever heard before.
Me
I
neither.
don't think a lot of people have heard that before. I don't think Charlotte's never got thank you chance before. She's been cheered before, you know what I'm saying, but she's never got thank you Charlotte chance. There's been a lot of other women who've had thank you chance before Charlotte has. So I feel like right now we're kind of in a different era of Charlotte Flair being a face. But also with a new era, there's also new opponents or
Mm-hmm.
tricks. Speaking of one, Sonya Deville um, managed to come out, say a few things to Charlotte about, you basically beat on Ronda while she was basically hurt and unable to be at her full capacity. So why not you face someone who is at full strength? I felt like this was something out of anime. Like, you know, I'm at my lowest, point or whatever. So now I have rejuvenated. I've dropped my weights like Rock Lee, and I'm ready to go. So I mean, like this is exactly how Sonya Deville felt, and I mean, there was just a lot of whoop that trick, and that's exactly what it came to for Sonya Deville. And if you don't know, Memphis is known for utilizing that phrase because of hustle and flow. They've done it multiple times here. Whenever they come back to Memphis, they always utilize that somehow, some way. And yeah, we end up leading into this match here where Charlotte did put her title on the line. This is Charlotte's first title defense since winning the title last week, to be exact. So she faces Sonya Deville, which honestly, this was a really good match. I will have to say, Charlotte was bringing out a lot of new moves. That front flip into a clothesline that she did was really nice. You can tell that Charlotte's she's been training and definitely implementing some new move sets into what she has currently already. And of course, Sonya did the best that she could, but the figure eight is always going to leave the girls tapping out. And that's exactly what Sonya Deville did. And Charlotte ended up retaining her title. And this was a very, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm interested in seeing who else is going to step up to the plate to take on Charlotte Flair. Maybe Charlotte have like an open challenge or something. Maybe she'll have a Royal Rumble opponent, or maybe not. I mean, there's time to kind of build something up. So I mean, it just really all depends on like what happens between now and the day before Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, Stephanie, what you think?
With this promo that Charlotte had, I was happy to hear from her. Just to hear kind of how she felt about things, because people were cheering her a lot harder than I've ever really heard people cheering her since she started. Um, it feels like this iteration of Charlotte Flair that we're getting is almost like a mixture of the accomplished champion that we know her to be and Ashley the woman herself. And the reason why I say that is because like when I met her in 2017, she was the sweetest woman on the planet. You couldn't help but not love her because she was making you feel like she was coming to meet you and not you were coming to meet her. She made me and my mom feel so comfortable and stuff. My mom's not even a wrestling fan, but she was there with me and she was just really excited to meet the both of us. She signed my title and everything. And at that time, she was a 4-time women's champion. Now look at time and now look at here we are. She's a 14-time women's champion and she acknowledged the fact that, you can't remain complacent and people might either love her for it or hate her for it or hate to love her for it or love to hate her for it. But either way, she's going to remain, a champion because she just doesn't stay complacent and doesn't just stay grateful. Well, it's good that she is grateful for where she's been, but at the same time, she doesn't ever want to stay in the same place. And that's something that I can respect because that sounds like me. Like that sounds like what my boyfriend would call big Steph dog energy. Like how can you continue to evolve? How can you get better than you were like a few months ago or say like last year or last month or something like that? And I respect that Charlotte is saying that and putting that into this iteration of Charlotte because she's easy to love. She's really easy to love. Even once you get to know her sweet side, and even after the match, when it seemed like she was forcefully taking the title out of Jessica Carr's hands, she almost apologized. She was apologizing for it, and she was just, happy and just smiling and being sweet and everything. And I was like, you know what, this is actually very refreshing because we're so used to Flair being arrogant. And saying like I'm the champion and I run the world and blah. So this is actually really nice for me because I love Charlotte the person anyway. So I was just like, okay, I like this. I like this a lot. And it's about time because she really said she missed everybody. And maybe in a weird way, we kind of missed her too. Even though the whole Ronda situation wasn't exactly the most ideal one, but outside of that, in a way, I guess we really did miss her too. So this was good, but Sonya came out there and I was like, girl, you sit down. So yeah, I knew Charlotte was gonna win. But yeah, Charlotte won and it was great. And it is great to see her back. And my heart wanted to give Charlotte a hug after her promo and everything else. Yeah.
I mean, that's very amazing to say about this woman. What I can say is that I can definitely relate into well, not really, because I don't give a damn about none of these people right here. Just to be honest, my heart is like crying at the stuff like why do I have this? But I understand why we got this because Top Dollar was obviously upset at the fact that Ricochet came in and talked about how he couldn't dive over the ropes. And this was a qualifying match for the Royal Rumble, and Top Dollar did lose. Praise God, he got squashed by Ricochet. And Ricochet qualifies for the Royal Rumble. There's no telling to say that nobody else in Hit Row would qualify, but Top Dollar didn't. Maybe he'll find his way. Maybe he'll wrap his way into qualifying for the Royal Rumble because obviously wrestling is not it. And obviously he wasn't too fond of the fact that he got squashed by someone who's used to being squashed. And they all decided that they wanted to take their anger out on Ricochet and do a heel turn. This still does not make me care about Hit Row. I'm going to be very honest. It doesn't. Since they've been brought back, the lackluster of them has been their aura. And I honestly still could care less. But shout out to Ricochet for winning. He qualified. And I guess Hit Row is going to be in the studio making diss tracks on Royal Rumble Day. I mean, Tahuti could still qualify, enter the Rumble. B-Fab could still enter the Rumble. I guess Top Dollar be the only one doing disses, maybe, because he did do a diss to Ricochet earlier this week. He did, and well, it flopped just like he did in this match. But Stephanie, what are your thoughts? Are you happy that Ricochet qualified? And what did you think about Hit Row making this crazy heel turn on Ricochet?
I am happy that Ricochet did qualify for it because ultimately, he's been on such a tear since he won the IC title and then wound up losing it and then wound up qualifying, to face Gunther for it. And he had a really good match with Gunther. So him qualifying for the Royal Rumble just kind of makes sense to me. It makes a little bit more sense than Top Dollar being in it. Because here again, Hit Row may be cool or okay, but at the same time, they're still new. So I still feel like there's a level of a little bit more that they'll have to do before they can qualify, or someone like Top Dollar can qualify for the Royal Rumble at this point. But them turning heel is something I sort of expected, low key, because Top Dollar really didn't take too kindly to him making fun of him for, falling a few weeks ago. But I don't know. I think we're sort of like in a wait and see pattern with them. I think I was listening to a podcast and somebody said they feel like they should go back to NXT or just start over or something. And I don't like saying this because I actually did like Hit Row when they were in NXT the first time, but they might be a little bit right about that. Because there's just something about Hit Row that just isn't fully, baking and popping off. So, yeah. They turn heel and yeah, that might be a little bit more attitude on their part, but outside of that, I don't know.
Well, I have no other words to say. I don't. There's nothing else I can really say.
I'm sad because I really do want to root for them because, of course, I have the energy of rooting for everybody black. But it's just they just don't feel as established as they once were. In NXT, it's really hard, and it makes me sad because they're really talented and they deserve good things.
Oh, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. They deserve good things. But I will say this though. When B-Fab kicked him, I thought Samantha was gonna come up out that seat.
Hey, Samantha might
But
got a
she
nice.
didn't.
Hey, she might got a Miss Samantha might have a nice forearm.
Mm-hmm.
Say,
Shout
oh
out
well.
to her.
Shout out to them. Let's see what happens with Hit Row and everything like that of that nature. We got here where basically Roman apologized to Sammy for yelling at him the way that he did. He said that nobody should be yelled like that, and Jay Uso is like, excuse me, like you can apologize to Sammy as if you didn't yell at me the same way you yelled at him.
Lord Jesus.
And you're gonna say that, oh well, this is not how you treat someone, and I apologize for yelling at you and talking to you like that and everything like that, and the shockerness on Paul's face, and Sammy thought maybe he's about to be dropped a cut, and the whole time Roman just wanted to apologize. And honestly, I think it's all a bunch of bullshit. I think that this is just a way for him to try to keep Sammy attached before this match at Royal Rumble with him and Kevin is going to really, really show some true colors. Although Sammy and Kevin do have a match one-on-one next week. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting because Jay, it's like he never apologized to Jay, but he's apologizing to Sammy. And I just couldn't help but low key wonder like if this is a trap. I feel like this is all a trap. I'm just like, this is a red flag because something that abusive people tend to do is that sometimes they'll apologize. And I don't mean to trigger anybody, please. But what I'm saying is, it's like sometimes abusive people will apologize, to sort of lure you back in and gain your trust back, only for them to revert to the same treatment that they subjected you to before. And I feel like this is what this probably is. And yeah, they were looking like they were eating popcorn and everything was okay towards the end of the night. But I just really feel like Roman just isn't being sincere. He's just being his regular abusive self. Because I feel
Mhm.
like even like with him not apologizing to Jay and him just getting beat up, it's just like the abuse continued with that until, of course, Jay decided to finally just fall in line.
Mhm.
So Roman is not being genuine here, and Paul looking shocked is like, yeah, you know he don't mean it. I don't know why you sit over there pretending, but it's very interesting how all of this is playing out, but it's still intriguing nonetheless. Also, just shout out to them for playing out this character for so long and it not being boring. Not to me anyway. But yeah.
That is starting to add some elements to it. But it leads us here to our main event, which is the Usos versus Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, which Sammy was going to go out there, but Roman stopped him and was like, nah, you stay back here. Solo is out there with them. And nonetheless, honestly, this is a really good match. I enjoyed it here. It was really nice. There was, of course, as we know, a lot of shenanigans and different things like that. And this view right here is like it just it's not a good look. Like imagine you're like a kid and you're watching wrestling, right? And your parents walk in and they see this and then they see you eating popcorn. It's like, I thought they were wrestling. Why is this man being shown from this angle? So, you're a little like, oh no, this you just walked in on the wrong part. They are wrestling, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, obviously it was getting really intense because everybody got this stale ass popcorn that they can sell at the movie theaters that I hate so much, or concession stands too. And they enjoying themselves, having a good time. And I know Paul's shoulders hurt, but because mine would be. And well,
At least he's sitting down though.
he is. He really is, and good God. But Solo did interfere in this match somehow, some way, and of course, my man's Pete came out there to even out the odds, and I was just so happy. I screamed. I really did, and I hope I get to see him tomorrow because I'm gonna scream some more. But other than that, despite the distractions, everything like that, the Usos still retain their titles, and after this match here, it went off air, but the Viking Raiders ended up attacking Sheamus and Drew McIntyre after this match. It's an exclusive on WWE's Twitter page.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, they attacked Sheamus and Drew McIntyre right after the show happened. And yeah, I don't really know what's next for the Usos. I don't know who their next opponents could be for these tag titles. They're beating everybody, literally. And it's like, who else are they going to go up against that they have not beaten yet? It's not like they're going up. It's not like they've been facing the Judgment Day or something, or the OC, what I'm saying? Something like that of that nature. But I just feel like, eventually, like I said, I don't think the bloodline is going to make it past this year. It's not. These titles, them holding these titles, is not going to make it past this year. Roman being two belts, Roman is not going to make it past this year. It's coming to an end this year. This is going to be an end of the bloodline in various of different ways. So shout out to the Usos for winning. Stephanie, this being the main event, what you think about it? Who can beat the Usos?
This match was really stellar. I liked it. You saw the best. I always love it when Drew and Sheamus are on the same page because you can tell that they were friends, and it just feels like there's just a level of brutality that they have from the UK that just goes together perfectly. And this was just a really good match. But the thing was, it's just the Usos are always going to have, them, their boys out there, and the Usos had their brother out there. But I'm glad that at least Drew and Sheamus had the forethought to have the Brawling Brutes try to even up the odds when Solo was trying to, interfere.
Mm-hmm.
But still, either way, the Usos are always 1 step or 10 steps ahead of their opponents, and this is how they've remained champions for so long. saying I don't know who could beat them. It's like they've beaten the New Day, they've beaten the Street Profits, they've beaten the Brawling Brutes multiple times. They beat, Team UK today. There's just I just don't know. They probably could beat the Viking Raiders, if they put them in a ring together. But you did mention the fact that they haven't fought the Judgment Day and they haven't fought the OC. Now that's something we haven't seen, and since they've been popping up on Raw a whole lot,
Mm-hmm.
that would be more interesting to see, how they would fare against, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, or somebody or two people like Damien and Finn from the Judgment Days. That
Yeah.
would be really interesting to see, but who knows at this point. But yeah, they really have ran through everybody. And now unless of course they call up Pretty Deadly, and that would be interesting, but you just never know.
That is very true. I don't know, but I mean, as like I said, they're not making it past this year as champions. Y'all had y'all fun. I hope y'all enjoyed it, but it comes to an end of an era.
And it's gonna start with the unraveling of Sammy.
Oh yeah, they're just getting started. Just getting started. But this was SmackDown, you guys, and of course we do 2 shows here. If you don't know by now, and we jump right into Rampage. I'm gonna take over a little bit, and then Stephanie's gonna handle the rest. We start out with this match here: Top Flight versus Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson, and I mean, this match was intense. It was crazy. It was over the top. It was literally bodies are flying everywhere. Every freaking where there were bodies flying all over the place. And Top Flight, they are so good. They really are. And I love this dominating team of Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson too. So I expected this to be the opening it deserved to be, because it was just that good to have watched. But unfortunately, Bryan and Jon Moxley did win this match here. So, but it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it for the most part. It had people on their feet. There was I think Darius did like a running Spanish fly on Danielson. It was crazy. But yeah, this was basically our opening. And I mean, if you missed it, you definitely should go back and watch. It was really good. Did you see this part here?
Yes, I did. This is the part I was able to see. Shout out to Mom. But either way, my mom was the reason why I missed the first match, or at least the second half of it. But it's okay. So basically, Hangman Adam Page was cutting a promo and basically said that he had this paper that cleared him for competition, so him and Jon Moxley can fight each other this coming Wednesday on Dynamite. And he basically said that he was going to beat him up really bad, and beat him to the point where he's bloody, and basically wipe his blood off so he won't get infected with something. And then he also said he basically also said that the Blackpool Combat Club jerk off to MMA fights in their basement. And I was like, good God, good grief, sir. It was just really passionate, and clearly he's happy that he's been cleared to compete, even though I am still a little bit lost as to why they don't like each other so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still very lost about that. Like, what exactly
happened? So
if
you remember that night that Jon Moxley and Adam had their match for their world title, Adam ended up getting a concussion. So he wasn't able to finish the match.
Oh.
So so that's why doctors been checking on him and making sure that he's cleared and different things like that, because he's had that concussion. So now he's gunning for Moxley because he wants his revenge.
Right.
So that happened like what, 4 months ago?
Months ago.
Like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's just all coming back because Hangman, he did have a concussion, but he was all right, and he won his lick back basically.
Yeah, is that the match where he passed out?
Yeah, that's the match that he passed out.
Okay.
It was a concussion.
Okay. Now it's coming back.
And that's when Tony Khan came out there and all this stuff, and they had to and stuff like that. So yeah, that was the one there.
Okay, yeah, now I'm remembering that because yeah, so much has happened, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
So much has happened.
So I got
Oh,
16.
woo! So much has happened, and sometimes your girl forgets things, but it's okay. So now I know why he's gunning for him so hard. Okay, great. So okay, now I get it. I get it. It's clicking now. So yes, Hangman Adam Page is ready to fight Jon Moxley because he's been cleared to compete. Everybody was checking on his head, but his noggin is doing great. So he's gonna fight Jon Moxley this coming Wednesday, which seems to be a really big day for AEW. So yeah, that was what happened in that promo. I'm excited. So, moving on to women's wrestling on Rampage, we had Jamie Hayter, the AEW World Women's Champion, and of course her buddy Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, going up against the Renegade Twins, Robin and Charlotte. And this match was great. I enjoyed this match so much because I had seen the Renegades a little bit before. They had been on television before and they did pretty good, but the match was really short. In this match, they gave them a lot of time because, of course, Jamie Hayter and Dr. Britt are looking for their momentum heading into Wednesday as they face off against Saraya and Toni Storm with a question mark or asterisk, depending on who you are. So this match was really good. The Renegade Twins impressed the crap out of me because when Jamie Hayter was actually when she first got in the ring, when she was tagged in, one of the twins actually hit her with a hold on because I wrote it down and I want to get it right because this impressed the crap out of me. Okay, there was a double knee that she hit onto Jamie Hayter in the corner of the ring, and then she hit a drop kick combo onto Jamie Hayter as well, and I was like, girl, come through then. And then there was another part where Jamie Hayter did a double suplex on both of the twins as they were trying to do a suplex on her, and she wound up lifting both of them up, and then she kissed her bicep, and I was like, okay, girl, I see you. Get it, Jamie. I was just really happy with that. And just the performance of all of the women were just really good. And then, of course, you had Dr. Britt, trying to choke one of the twins out on the ropes and everything. Like, this match was fantastic. But in the end, Jamie Hayter and Dr. Britt wound up winning after Baker scored the win for them. So if you haven't watched this match, please go back and watch it. The Renegade Twins definitely deserve their flowers for how they performed in this match. And I just want more for them. More of amazing things for them because they just did so good and they impressed me. So now Jamie Hayter and Dr. Britt are headed towards Wednesday when they face off against Saraya and Toni Storm with an asterisk. So, Santana, how did you feel about this match?
It was really good. I've seen the Renegades twins wrestle on multiple occasions, and I actually think they are a very, very powerful duo together. They're so in sync and everything. And I mean, with the killer and the pillar of Jamie and Britt Baker, they needed this. Although the Renegades, they did get a lot of offense, but Jamie and Britt needed this. They needed something that can allow them to feel like, okay, so we won tonight. Let's go in Wednesday. Let's beat the crap out of Saraya and Toni, maybe. Because all right. But yeah, so I mean, it was really good. Despite, I mean, they attacked them and they didn't even get a chance to even get a chance to say hey to the crowd or nothing before Jamie and Britt ended up attacking them, throwing them outside the ring and all of this stuff. And I mean, it was very interesting, but I enjoyed it. I would love to see more of the Renegade Twins. I mean, it's not our first time seeing them on anything dealing with AEW, but they just feel it's like AEW 2023 debut. Yeah. I guess that's how they're going to do it, but this is a nice pairing to go up against. I will say, if you want to kind of get a little warm up before your main match against Saraya and Toni. And like Joseph said, fans don't want it to be Saraya and Toni. They want it to be Saraya and Mercedes Moné. They would be pissed. I think they work themselves into a shoot. I mean, who knows if Mercedes would show up? Honestly, truly. I mean, she is back in the States, but it doesn't mean that she's going to be in that state that transpires where they actually do have this match on January the 11th. So I don't know, man. I have no words to say about if she does show up. I mean, if she does, that'll be very nice and great for those who would love to see Mercedes Moné in AEW tagging with Saraya, the woman who a lot of people have assumed was the reason why her career ended. And well, who knows? I will have to say anything is possible. Anything is possible in 2023 right now.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Today is a testament to that.
Yeah,
This week and today is a testament to that. Like anything is possible. So yeah, I think Santana, I'm gonna ask you how you felt about Mercedes Moné and her debut because that is a huge topic, but we'll get into that later. Or maybe even offline. But either way, I really did enjoy that tag team match. It was great. Love to the Renegade Twins and love to Dr. Britt and the champion Jamie as well. Yeah. So we heard from the House of Black, and this was about as cryptic as you could expect it to be. They were addressing Eddie Kingston and Ortiz and basically saying that they feel like Eddie Kingston might be sick in his head or in his mind, but and there was a poem that Malachi Black started where he was talking about how once he knew a man with a gun, and then after that point, my brain just kind of just trailed off a little, and that's no disrespect to them, but I was just kind of like, huh?
They really talking and they be trying to use these Shakespeare, Langston Hughes, poetic justice wording and stuff, and trying to make you feel like they're so deep and in tune with what's going on. It's just like, say what you need to say. Okay. Stop wasting time here. Like, just say what you need to say. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Like, stop with the. I get enough of with Bray Wyatt. I don't need y'all too. Okay. My goodness. Y'all just need a collab or something. Do a YouTube video or something. Like, good God. I'm like, what?
Oh God, that would be lit. Them and the Wyatts. Oh, that would be amazing.
I get.
So next, we had Perro Peligroso in action. Of course, this is Preston Vance. I know Perro. What does that translate to? Does that translate to dog? Or
it can.
Okay, it can. Okay. What else can it translate to?
Oh, I can't say that.
Okay, well, don't say it. Don't get in trouble. Don't get us in trouble. Don't get us in trouble. Don't get us in trouble. All right. But Preston Vance, the former number 10 in the Dark Order, had a match against Sonico, who is a local, who they said was more of a Pacific talent. This match was a squash match. Like, he basically beat him up and ran his head into his arm a couple times and then slammed him down, and that was it. It was a squash match. And of course, Preston Vance came out there with Jose, the assistant. And then after he won the match, he disrespected him by ripping his mask off. He ripped his JD Hush. He ripped his mask off. And he basically walked around with it, and they drug him out of the ring as Sonico covered his face, because of course, you know, that is the ultimate form of disrespect in Lucha Libre, you snatching a man's mask off. You don't do that, but he did it anyway. And then he also did the 10 symbol while also doing like sort of like an FU symbol with his arms after it was over to the people. So yeah, Preston Vance is just out here being mad, disrespectful to people, and thinking he's all that because he's joined Los Ingobernables. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This was a squash match. It was real quick. So San, how did you feel about this quick little blurb from Preston?
I didn't have enough to feel.
Yeah.
I had nothing to feel about this match, because I mean, there was nothing that transpired that made me feel like, oh my God, you know, no, I could care less. I mean, maybe he need, like you said, a lot of times when you have these wrestlers who are going through a different character change, they need somebody or something to kind of get eyes on them and make them, you know, want to focus on them and different things like that. So I don't have much to say about Mr. Preston Vance or number 10 or whoever he wants to be.
Yeah, he's still the jerk to me who decided to diss a child. So
He's
there's really not that much you can do for me once you've decided to disrespect a baby.
he's
I
mad.
know I know he's not a baby, but it's just the principle. He's a baby unto me, is what my grandma would say. So you just don't do that. You just don't do that. So yeah, that's just how I feel about him. But moving forward towards the main event, with the TNT Championship Open Challenge, we have the new champion Darby Allin, who won the title back in his hometown of Seattle, Washington. Shout out to them because I have relatives up there, and also shout out to Starbucks because that's where Starbucks was founded, and I love Starbucks. But moving forward, I'm sorry, just went off the rails. Versus the Kingdom's Mike Bennett. Of course, he came out there with Maria Kanellis Bennett, his wife. And Matt Taven, of course, part of the Kingdom. So the reason why this match came about was because when Renee Paquette was backstage interviewing Darby after he won the match, Michael Bennett walked up to him and basically challenged him, and they exchanged words. And Darby said, "Okay, fine, you want to go up against me? Let's go." And so he put the belt, he mushed him with the belt, and after that, Mike was ready to fight. So they had their little Mark Henry interview, and Mike and Darby was basically talking about all the thing where, well, he talked about how he had his first match in Portland, Oregon, which is where they were tonight. And he said a lot of people, thought for sure that he wouldn't make it. A lot of people backstage were telling him, you couldn't lace my boots. But look at me and look at where they're at now. It was basically like an underdog story. So he said that he was going to fight him, and he told Mike that he was ready for him. Yes, JD, mushed with the belt. It's kind of like when you mush somebody's face with their hand, like this, except you mush him with an object. He mushed him with the belt. So yeah, he mushed him. So this match was pretty good. This one had a lot of impressive parts in it, especially on the part of Darby Allin. There was one instance where he did a drop kick to Michael Bennett while he was sitting in a chair, but Michael Bennett was throwing him around a lot as well. He threw him into the barricade, like slamming him or whatever. And then Matt Taven got involved a little bit, but he paid for it. And then there was a point where Maria tried to stop Darby Allin from doing a dive onto Mike Bennett, but then she had to move out of the way at a certain point. And then Matt Taven kicked Darby Allin while the ref was distracted. But the kicker for me, which impressed me at the end of this match, was when Darby Allin actually hit a code red onto Mike Bennett, and then from the top rope at that, and then he hit him with the coffin drop in order to retain the TNT Championship. And that's how Rampage ended, and that match was pretty good for the most part. So San, how did you feel about this match?
It was cool. It's nice to see, Mike Bennett be out here to wrestle for the title. I feel like I don't really see the Kingdom, that often, as much as I did see them over in Impact Wrestling and things like that. I always see them on TV no matter what. Sometimes I feel like I don't really see them that often over here. So it is kind of nice to see them over here. And I mean, this is Darby Allin's first title defense since winning this title back from Samoa Joe. So I mean, it was really cool to see this happen. It was really nice. It was very high flying. It had the crowd engaged with what was happening. And I don't know, I would love to see more of the Kingdom on my TV. I would, because I didn't like them in Impact, but they are right over here in AEW. So, and I wonder who Darby Allin's next opponent would be too.
Yeah, I was very surprised to hear, or at least to see, that Darby Allin, did wind up beating Samoa Joe, because it seemed like they were really kind of going with the whole Samoa Joe being the king of TV, having both of the titles for television. So, huh?
It would have been nice.
Yeah, a lot of people felt a way about that online.
I was like, what made y'all want to, you put the belts on him just for, it's not like he didn't beat Darby already, you know what I'm saying? But you put the title, you make him win both titles, and then he loses. He didn't even get like a long, lengthy, proper reign or whatever. I mean, of course, he's been holding the ROH title, but still, you weren't gonna let him do the TNT.
Yeah.
Hmm. I have
Yeah,
no idea.
but that's basically where Rampage ended. Now, of course, they kept going, like 6 seconds after Rampage went off into Battle of the Belts 5. And that, of course, was also live too. But I think we'll just give you the quick little results of what happened. Just in case you watched it or just in case you didn't watch it. The Acclaimed faced off in sort of a no holds barred match for the AEW tag titles against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. And that match was pretty good. It was all over the place. Everybody was interfering. Sanjay Singh even got involved in the match. He lifted up both members of the Acclaim and slammed them, but yet it still didn't work. There were just so many distractions, so many crazy things. One of the people who's aligned with Jay and Jeff even came out and beat up the referee, took off the referee's shirt, thought he was going to be the referee until Aubrey Edwards said, "No, ma'am, no, sir." So she wound up becoming the actual referee for it, and the Acclaimed wound up winning. And I missed their rap, and I'm mad about it because their rap from this past Wednesday was lit. I liked it, but yeah, the Acclaimed retained their tag titles, and I'm glad that they won. So that happened. So Santana, how do you feel about that?
I didn't expect the like claim to lose their titles at all whatsoever. I don't feel like they needed to. That match was very much all over the place. It was just a lot that was happening, but that's what happens when you're in a no holds bars, man. So I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
I don't think this is gonna be end of the Acclaim and Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal situation. I think there's gonna be a lot more happening between these guys somewhere down the line, I will say.
Yeah, definitely. And then, of course, the next match was Jade Cargill versus Skye Blue for the TBS Championship. Jade Cargill came out with only one baddie, Layla Gray, because, of course, Red Velvet and her have been having issues. And, of course, Kiera Hogan is no longer aligned with them. So she only came out with one baddie. It was sad. But, that's just where we're at now. And Skye Blue put up a heck of a fight against Jade Cargill. Like she really did, and she really has improved a whole lot, since she has been in AEW. From I feel like every time I watch her wrestle, every couple of weeks, it's like there's always something new with her, and she did a really good job. But ultimately, Jade Cargill wound up winning, and she was posing and primping with the title after she won, and then Red Velvet watched the rest of the match as it ended, and as she was standing there and talking smack at her, Jade Cargill raised the bird at her, flipped her off. Yeah, that's where they're
Yeah.
at now. So Santana, even though I know it's hard to feel anything because Jade has basically been beating everybody, how did you feel about this match?
Well, what I will say is that it was a lengthy, and Sky Blue got a lot of offense in this match. She really showed that she could go in this match, and Jade has shown a little bit of more improvement too. Though I know she gets a lot of heat because of the whole green thing, but we gotta let that go. That happened. That the whole she's still green. That's all 2022 type thing. She's actually trying and showing that she can improve and do some things in the ring and stuff like that. So I'm interested in seeing more of where her and Red Velvet story continues because it was kind of put to a halt because Red Velvet joined the baddies. And with her kicking Kiera out, and then now her and Red Velvet having issues, just leaving Layla Gray, which honestly, truly, I feel like Jada's gonna let go of Layla Gray real soon anyway. So it's just gonna be back to just Jade Cargill, and maybe Smart Marks would rejoin Jade Cargill again. But nonetheless, this was a really nice lengthy match. I will have to say, I'm glad they got some time. I'm glad there's some type of story being built between her and Red Velvet, and everything like that. So. Shout out to Jade. She looked really cute. Her hair was really cute too, I will say. And everything.
Yeah, she did look really cute. I enjoyed it, and yeah, Jade is still here. She's still the champion, and that's cool. And in terms of her
A
being green, I
year.
feel like people, huh?
She made it to a year as CBS champion.
Yeah. And the thing about her being green, I agree with you in the fact that people do need to let that go, because honestly, I feel like that's just people holding her to a different standard than they would hold anybody else to.
Yeah.
And we don't have to address the reason why, because duh. Um
Mhm.
Either way, black excellence. Moving on. The end of Battle of the Belts had the AEW All Atlantic Championship being put on the line between Orange Cassidy and Kip Sabian, who've been fighting back and forth on Rampage. Um and also, on Dynamite a little bit, but mostly seems like on Rampage for the past couple of weeks. So, and also Kip Sabian's camp has been fighting with Orange Cassidy's camp, the best friends, a whole lot as well. And this was on display a lot during the match. You had lots of distractions from Kip Sabian's camp, and the best friends coming out to support Orange Cassidy. Did fight one of his friends, Trent Beretta, last week, but it was a friendly fight, so it was okay. Orange Cassidy wound up winning the match, so he is still the AEW All Atlantic Champion, and that's basically where Battle of the Belts ended. So, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty solid. Couple of hours of wrestling tonight. So, San, how do you feel about Orange Cassidy and Kip Sabian fighting each other?
I don't think this is the end of that either because I feel like although Kip did finally get a title opportunity to face Orange Cassidy, despite all of the interruptions that he has done within his matches or getting a fight with his camp and so on and so forth, even his wife Penelope being involved, even the bunny being involved too, even though they got to, well, the bunny got to square it out. The referee kicked their ass out tonight. But Penelope was still over there, and I mean, like, eventually somewhere down the line, Chris Statlander is probably going to return and she's going to be taking out Penelope Ford and probably the bunny by herself to be exact. So, I mean, shout out to Orange Cassidy. He's really been carrying this title, and having a lot of really good title defenses against some people since he won it from Pac. So I'm excited to see what the future holds with this All Atlantic title. Who knows who he's going to go against next once he's done with Kip Sabian? Because honestly, I don't think Kip is going to be over the fact that he lost to Orange Cassidy. Like the way the amount of energy that he put into going after this man, there is no way he should be done. Like no,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely not. So I don't know, but that pretty much kind of leads us to the end of the show, guys, in regards to SmackDown, Rampage, and Battle of the Belts. If you guys, I know Stephanie, you had asked me about Mercedes Monet coming to New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom. Wrestle Kingdom, I was up for that to see her come out and everything. I was up alive, hanging on by a thread. I watched not the whole thing, but I got up until where I felt like this is enough, and I can go back and watch it. But I was okay. But for her, in general, I'm gonna be very honest. I am. I will say that I still feel like I am I am looking at Sasha Banks just with a different name. I still do feel that way. From the whole mannerism, it still feels like Sasha Banks to me. It still feels like I'm looking at when she speaks, the whole movement, everything still to me feels like Sasha Banks. I think that once she kind of moves on into figuring out who this Mercedes Monet is or who she's going to be, then maybe she will start to disintegrate from the mannerism that she had with being Sasha Banks and be a totally different new character. But as of right now, just for that part there, I don't feel like I see anything different other than we got new hair, we got a really amazing cute gear, we got a new theme, we got new rings, and we have a new name. And we also are in New Japan Stardom. Well, starting to be exact. And what I will say that the impact that Mercedes has made being a black woman in Stardom is going to be quite interesting to see the work that she does with a lot of these girls that are in Stardom. there are some heavy hitters over there in Stardom that Mercedes is going to have to prepare for, because those girls are very different when it comes to terms of Japanese strong style than it is wrestling someone over in America. You know what I'm saying? British strong style and Japanese strong style, they're kind of like in sync together. So I mean, like I only thing I can say is that I wish her a lot of success in what she's going to be doing as Mercedes Monet. I am interested in seeing how her match will go with Kyrie, someone who she has been wanting to wrestle for a very, very long time, and it's happening. I'm excited to see what this world tour will be like, where she, managed to, show up at and wrestle against and different things like that. I know it's gonna be a minute for her to kind of tap into that character of Mercedes Monet. But nonetheless, she looked really cute. She really did. She had everybody up waiting to see if she's going to show up, what she's going to wear, what she's going to look like, and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? But the impact that she's made already, she's skyrocketed to the top as of right now in 2023. So I'm interested.
Yeah. Okay. All of that is very valid. I completely get that. Well, what I will say is the fact that, and I won't be before you long when I say this, is that I love her, and I have probably mentioned a bunch of other times about how I feel like she is just the greatest women's wrestler of all time. So for her to show up and continue, of course, to get better as a wrestler and, expand her wrestling, IQ and her palette is something that I'll always, look forward to. And something that I'll always respect with her. And yes, I agree a little bit with what you have to say in the fact that, Mercedes Monet and the character, still is a sense of Sasha Banks a little bit. But what I will say to that is the fact that that is a character that she did come up with. So, with her and the name change or whatnot, I mean, I feel like it's almost like elevated to a really like bigger level. And I feel like she'll, with the type of wrestler that she's already been, considering she's always a student of the game, she'll
Mhm.
evolve and she will, adapt to that, level of wrestling. So
Yeah,
yeah. Um
sure.
I love it. I loved every inch of her debut. I didn't stay up and watch it because, I had to go to work. Thank you, Nikki. It's good to hear from you. I had to go to work the next morning, but I told myself, like, if she shows up, I want to be surprised when I get on the internet and see. I just want to be surprised.
Yeah.
And that's what I was when I woke up. I was like, oh, there she is. And when I saw the whole thing, I loved it. Um, yeah, I'm just glad she's back in wrestling. So I'm happy. I'm happy she's happy. And that's all that
Yeah.
matters.
Justin said, I think February 18 would be the first time she will wrestle as Mercedes Monet, and it would be interesting to see if Japan has her go over Kyrie. That is really true. There's no telling, what she could be doing from the time being, up until February the 18th. There's no telling what she could be doing. Um, but I mean, if she goes over Kyrie, then she does. If she doesn't, then it's just like, well, kind of like it is what it is. But we'll just have to kind of wait to see from now up until February the 18th to see what Mercedes Monet has in store for the entire world. But with that being said, and thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on your Friday night. We really do appreciate it. We went through, I guess you can say, all three shows that happened tonight. We thank you guys for coming in, even though you came in late. We still do appreciate you guys popping in and joining the conversation and everything like that. Definitely make sure that you guys always follow our socials at WW Talk Pod. Definitely check out the website, www.talkpod.com. Articles are going out each and every day and things like that. We have a interview dropping real soon for you guys. So definitely make sure you guys check out that when it does. And Stephanie, let everyone know where they can keep up with you at.
Yeah, you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy, and also support my podcast, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, everywhere you get your shows. I released a new episode this week, talking about more of my feelings about Mercedes Moné, and her debut, and also saying a little bit of a goodbye to the Sasha Banks character. So yeah, please check that out, and also just be on the lookout for more of what I have cooking with the podcast, and I'm really happy about it. And then of course Raw is going to be in Birmingham Monday, and I'm going to be there, and I'm so excited. It's the first time Raw is going to be in Birmingham in 7 years, so I'm really pumped to be there. I might have a sign, and then you might see me. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. So yeah, that's where you can catch me.
As for me, of course, you guys can catch me hosting Raw, Impact, and SmackDown's post show, as well as being a host on Turnbuckle Glam. Our show does not return back until January the 22nd at 9 p.m. Central, so definitely check that out. We got some looks coming in for you guys and things like that. So I hope you guys definitely come in and stop by and chit chat with us. As for me, you guys know that you can always Google me, Driune Santana, Driune. That's where you're gonna always find me. I'm up in the air about if I'm gonna go to Raw on Monday, but they will be here tomorrow, where I sometimes reside in. And I'm going to go see, everybody, try to get some photos, get some videos, try to find me a Chase U hoodie. Hopefully they have it at the house show, but if not, then I'm going to hunt down WWEshop.com, and I'm going to let them know how I really feel. And I have actually no idea what Stephanie is doing, but obviously.
I'm trying to pull you closer.
Why are you trying to pull me closer?
Because I want to see you Monday. That's why. Okay. I'm trying to manifest you and me being in the same place. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to manifest us. Huh?
JD said like you're casting a spell.
Oh, well, I guess you can say that then. Come to me. Come to the BJCC to Raw so we can see each other. Come on.
Screaming. But yeah, once again, well, it's up in the air. But definitely, once again, you guys make sure you continue to support Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling show on the freaking planet. Okay, please know that 2023 it is up for us, and if you don't know, then you better get with it. Point blank period.
We the one.
All right. She the one. Via.
I meant us as a network, but okay.
Oh, yeah. Something like that. Bye.
Lord have mercy. Bye. Good night.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling show on the planet.